All right, everybody, welcome on in. NorCal Sports Network. Little special, unexpected show tonight. Talking about Buster Posey as he was on KNBR's Murph and Markus this morning, which created a big stir. And we're going to talk about it right here, right now. All right, everybody, let's get into this. First, let us give us a shout out to our sponsor. Let us thank Prize Picks for sponsoring NorCal Sports Network. Let me pull up the Prize Pick. Where did it go? Here we go. Prize Picks. And you guys all know Prize Picks by now. If you've been listening to the show, it's a daily fantasy app where you build lineups, where you choose more or less. And Prize Picks right now is offering $5 or $50 for every $5. If you put out $5, your first $5 play, they're going to give you $50. That's right. That's not a match. That's a big uptick for you. You want to use that promo code on the screen right there, NCSN. Prize Picks, it's available in all 50 states. Download the Prize Picks app today. Play along, and it's good to be right with Prize Picks. All right, let's make sure you do use that promo code NCSN. All right, tonight's show is going to be not a long one in the sense of a normal NorCal Sports Network live stream. We'll be going till about 8:50 tonight. I've got to get out of here and go pick up my son from work. So that's the deal here. I just want to get right into this, guys. Today on, I always want to say Murph and Mac, but Murph and Markus, Buster Posey was on. He was asked some questions, and a lot of questions were vague. He was a little bit defensive, especially when it came to when he asked him about the closer. And he says, what, do you want us to go out and sign Edwin Diaz, Murph? How would that work out? Diaz is hurt, which is a kind of a defensive type of sound. It looks like Buster really just doesn't have a plan. And I want to point out right now, early on, that this is not a bash Buster personally. I happen to like Buster. As you guys know, he's always in here. Where is he? There he is. There's Buster right there. He's always in here. Now, I talked to Buster tonight, my dog Buster. I said, I might have to change your name to Bubba or something like that, Hopefully Buster can pull it together. But I just want to just say that I don't think Buster has it. I really don't. I hate to say it. He was a great player. Not all great players make great executives, right? I mean, some do. Some have done well, right? If you want to know some, Jerry West was one of the best executives ever, and he's the logo of the NBA, right? That was a great player, Hall of Famer, and an incredible executive. Built the Showtime Lakers, built the Shaq Kobe Lakers, helped construct the Golden State Warriors dynasty. He was awesome. Larry Bird, he was a coach, executive, won NBA Executive of the Year with the Pacers. Joe Dumars of the Pistons, right? He built the Pistons into a championship. Pat Riley was a great coach and an executive. Wasn't the greatest player, but John Elway had success as a Broncos executive. Got the Super Bowl, with Peyton Manning, right? Ozzie Newsome, we've talked about before. He was pretty good tight end and also helped build the Ravens into consistent winners and won Super Bowls. Magic was not bad at times, but he also was kind of a failure in a way with the Lakers. Ended up quitting. Derek Jeter, mixed results with the Marlins. It wasn't a real disaster, but he didn't dramatically improve the Marlins either. But how about some baseball? Some other guys who were actually really failed as executives. Michael Jordan, the GOAT. The GOAT, very mediocre NBA owner, executive with Charlotte. Isaiah Thomas was bad. Hall of Fame player. Disastrous as a Knicks executive. Matt Millen, remember Matt Millen? Wasn't he part of the 0-16 Detroit Lions? Wayne Gretzky, greatest hockey player ever. His coaching executive career never matched the playing greatness. Alex Rodriguez, been a good businessman, but not really proven as a baseball executive. So there's examples. There's some on both sides, right? But what I want to get into with Buster is this. And by the way, guys, I tried to get a co-host tonight. We were planning on taking the night off. Reached out to some people. Nobody was really available, and it was last minute. We didn't really decide to do this show until about 7:15 tonight. Robert Rothberg, he says, how about blaming the players for not producing? Well, that's a great segue, Robert, because let's talk about the players. Because Buster's solely responsible for signing Matt Chapman, Willie Adames, trading for Rafi Devers. He's not responsible for the Jung-Hoo Lee. That was Farhan's deal. A lot of the guys here, I mean, he did get a rise, which a rise is performing well. But let's talk about the Matt Chapman thing. There was an article today in The Athletic by Jim Bowden, former general manager of the Cincinnati Reds. He talked about 8 players who were off to a slow start, right? And of those 8 players, he mentioned whether he thought they would are in decline or if they will rebound. Let me pull up the article here because I was let me see if I've got it. I should have it. Here we are. These major league stars, and he talked about, are struggling. Is it just a slump? Are they in their decline period? All right. So let's take a listen to the 8 players that were mentioned. The first player on the list was Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres. He said, Machado, 33, has been one of the best third basemen in the league since he arrived as a teenager in 2012. I'm not going to go into all the reading. I'm just going to give you the rundown. And what he says here is my best guess, he'll rebound. Manny Machado. Next on the list was Marcus Semien, New York Mets. My best guess, according to Jim Bowden, in the decline phase, okay? Player number 2. So we got one that will rebound in Manny Machado. Marcus Semien, he thinks he's in decline. Next, Salvador Perez, who's 36, future Hall of Famer, team leader and face of the Royals franchise. His best guess, and, Jim Bowden's a former GM. Is he perfect? No GM's perfect. But they have experience with baseball, and they evaluate talent. His best guess was Salvador Perez. Decline is starting. Player number 4, friend Matt Chapman, San Francisco Giants. Here we go. Matt Chapman, here's my point. My best guess, decline is starting. Chapman is a 5-time Gold Glove and 2-time Platinum Gold Glove winner and has hit 20 or more homers in the season 6 different times. This year he's homered just once in 50 games. Actually, he wrote this at 48, but we can make it. He's slugging just .308. Chapman has never had a slugging lower than .403 in any full season. His bat speed is still elite, 92nd percentile at 75.6 miles per hour, and his chase rate is solid, 25.8%, 72nd percentile. But his hard hit rate has gone from 100% in 2023 to 88th in 24, 78th last year, and a dismal 16th this year. He's still an elite defender, but not at the level he was a couple of years ago. The Giants have signed him through 2030 on a $151 million deal. So they're obviously hoping it's just a slow start. If he can get hot, however, they may want to consider dealing him at the trade deadline to take that future decline risk away, especially with Casey Schmidt, a natural third baseman, coming into his own as a big leaguer this season. Corey Seager, best guess, he'll rebound. That's player number 5. Marcell Ozuna, Pittsburgh. This is the funniest one in my opinion. My best guess, he's done. He's cooked. So not in decline. He's done. George Springer, his best guess is injury is the issue. And Cedric Mullins, Tampa Bay, best guess, the decline is real. And that was the last one. So there you go. Matt Chapman decline is and look, we've been talking about this here on the show since the beginning. I didn't want him to sign him in 24. I thought Chapman was, and that was Farhan. But in 25, or I should say at the end of the 24 season, Farhan was basically 1 foot out the door. Posey already knew he was going to fire him. And he went over to Scott Boras because the deal was being held up. Buster got it done, basically gave him 6 years along with a no trade clause. So, what I want to say on this whole thing with Buster is I'm not against Buster. I think Buster's he'll be a great Giant. I just don't think he's cut out to run the show. Look, the handling of Bryce Eldridge has been a complete disaster. And by the way, guys, Victor Baracota has been called up to the Giants. He will be in uniform at Oracle Park tomorrow night. There has not been let me look here. I don't think there's been a corresponding move. I'm going to look here and see if it's no corresponding move, but we're hearing that Victor Baracota is coming up. All right. Now, in today's interview, which I took as a red flag when I heard it, when they asked about Bryce, when Murph asked about Bryce and playing more, he said something to the effect, we just got to find and put him in positions to be successful. And then he threw out that it's day to day with Bryce. So if Baracota's coming up, is Bryce going down? Because that was a really weird answer, day to day, when they asked if he was here to stay or to play. He's day to day. That said something to me when I first heard it. And I didn't even know anything about Baracota. And I thought to myself, he's going to probably go down tomorrow and they'll bring somebody up. So this is the type of thing. And the fact that Buster Posey was not communicating with Tony Vitello, hey, I brought him up for a reason. I want him to play. Look, you're the president of baseball operations. If you're not communicating that with your manager, that you brought him up and he's not playing and you're still not communicating with that, makes no sense. Look, in saying you're exactly right on this. Day to day just means I have no plan and I'm making excuses. Look, I think the Giants need to rebuild completely. I don't know if Buster Posey sees that. And if he doesn't see that, he's not fit for the job. And if he does somehow come to the conclusion that they do need to rebuild, I don't think he knows. He's proven that if you cannot play Bryce Eldridge, your number one prospect, and not just your number one prospect, but a top 20 prospect in all of baseball, then you have got to be looking at this situation and saying, does he really see it? I don't know. I may be wrong. I know that there is Senior, thank you. I've actually got it already pulled up here. I'm not sure if I can play too much of the Buster Posey interview from YouTube, being on another YouTube channel. But here's the thing, guys. There's some talk that Buster may be seeing this and that he's had a change of heart when he saw that they weren't successful with Devers last year and that Chapman's not being successful. Adames isn't really doing a whole lot. But is he going to sell off? let's wait on, the title busters got to go. Let's just be honest with it. It's to get you to see some things, to tune in, to say, hey, but I do think he's going to have to go. I don't think long-term this is going to work based on what I've seen this year, based on the decisions of not playing Bryce. And I don't like the idea. They started him against Yamamoto and Ohtani, and they sat him against Ryan Nelson. Come on. So I don't think Buster is the right personality for this job. I really don't. Hey, I'm going to pull up something. Let me give you a little comments from, this was early October of 2024, right after, a few days after Buster was fired, and Buster came in to take on the Pobo job. We had Dieter Kurtenbach, KNBR, San Jose Mercury, on the show, and he had written an article. And let's hear some of the comments from that interview when Dieter was on here for about 2 hours back in October of 2024.
People are coming at me, and you know what? Again, all fair game. It's a public-facing industry. I have readers. They're allowed to have their opinion. I share mine. I'd like to think mine are more informed, but maybe I learn something new every day. People are coming at me because of Buster. Like, they want to defend Buster. He's a legend. He can do no wrong. He hasn't done anything yet, except for say, I want this job. I think that's a bold move, to say the least, to steal the term from earlier. But again, all the credit in the world for him wanting to take on a challenge like this. Something has been done, though. Like, he hasn't done anything as the director of baseball operations, so I can't tell you if he's a good director of baseball operations or not. I will say that ownership, specifically Greg Johnson, has done something here. And this is what I'm specifically criticizing. And it's my mistake if it doesn't come across as this is criticism of ownership. They have hired someone with no baseball operations experience whatsoever. I'm sorry. Finishing Matt Chapman's contract is not baseball operations experience. I've been on those phone calls with agents as things are getting done. That doesn't make me qualified to run a Major League Baseball team. Okay? I'm not saying that he didn't have a role in that. I'm saying that if that's all that is qualified, there's about 500 members of the media who are more qualified than Buster Posey, because we've been in more of these conversations. They have now fired a director of baseball operations who indeed needed to go. They have fired his number 2, who I don't know what he did, so I can't blame them for firing him. And they have put in somebody who has no experience in this realm, without a plan for who's actually going to do that job. Because as Buster was very clear yesterday, he wants to be a figurehead. He just wants to be the guy who comes in. The fans love him. The players love him. He's a political figure as the director. And there's someone who actually does the job on a day-to-day basis. He wants to be the current day version of Billy Beane. Technically still there, but not actually doing anything. Right? That's what Buster, he's here to bring some good vibes, which the Giants desperately need. But ownership has now handed the reins of a terrible situation that needs immediate rectification in a market that demands success and should demand more success, honestly. We're getting a little soft over here. For an organization that costs $4 billion and should be one of the jewels of professional sports, given now that it has the market completely to itself, the history of the organization, the beautiful ballpark, the wealth of money around here, this should be the biggest of big market teams.
Right.
They have now handed that to someone who does not know what they are doing yet and will have to figure it out on the fly. If it was anybody other than Buster Posey who was at the dais yesterday, if they were to have, say, hired Joe Mauer, another Hall of Fame, well, literally Hall of Fame caliber catcher, who is, by all accounts, very smart and affable and interesting and positive, can bring some good vibes. But if they had hired Joe Mauer, who also has no baseball operations experience, to do that job, and they didn't come up and say, here's his right-hand man, here's how the front office is going to work, here's how, it had no plan, Giants fans would have rioted at 3rd and King. But because it's Buster, there is just this presumption that everything's going to be okay. And you know what? It might be. But I don't take blind faith on anything. The first rule of journalism, if your mom says she loves you, get a second source. Okay? There is no plan here. The plan is they'll figure it out as they go. That is not good enough. That is not how a $4 billion company should be run. That is how I manage a little league team. We'll figure it out as we go. It's not that big a deal. This is a massively big deal. And yes, you had to fire Farhan. But the idea that, we need to bring in Buster as some sort of sign to the fan base to get excited, ridiculous. Ridiculous. Fire Farhan and the fan base will love you. And then, hey, we're going to go with Buster, but come in with a plan. Come in with, here's Buster, here's his number 2, here's his number 3, here's his number 4, here's how the structure is going to work, here's our ideology, here's our philosophy, let's go. Instead, all I got yesterday was someone who, for all the people I've heard in the media saying he's the most prepared guy, and unquestionably he was as a player, I am getting a pretty clear whiff of the Dunning-Kruger effect. He was a great player. That doesn't mean that he's going to be a great executive. He could be, but it doesn't mean he's going to be. And for someone whose hallmark, apparently, to so many who are happy to kiss the ring is, he's so prepared. I saw a guy at the dais yesterday who had nothing prepared to say. And an ownership group, which this is the problem, had no plan other than give it to Buster. Buster said he wanted the ball, so we gave Buster the ball, and we held a press conference to say we gave him the ball. We have no information beyond.
All right, there we go. We'll pull up possibly more of that a little later, but just wanted to give you a take on that, because that was back in 2024, immediately after Buster's press conference. And you know what? I don't know if anything's really changed. Buster looks like he really doesn't have a plan. I think Dieter was right on in his comments. And there's so much more to that interview. If you want to go back and look at that whole interview, it was October of 2024. Look, I don't see any type of plan that Buster has. I don't know. He said they're not restricted financially now, who knows? Do we know? Can we even really buy into what Buster said today on the radio? If ownership did cap him, do you think he would really say, yeah, they capped me? That makes ownership look bad. So, and then he made the comment that he didn't think, Murph asked him, he said, I don't see much fight or grit in this team. Is that a problem? And he said, they haven't come back from being down after the 6th inning. So they've had no comebacks this year in any games after they've been down after the first 6 innings. So I think Buster thought he could go out and get these high-priced veterans, because sometimes the pendulum, if it's too far to the left, I don't know if I'm going to my left or right as I'm watching, or too far, you tend to swing one way or the other. If you're too far to the left, you go too far to the right, and vice versa. Look, they had Farhan, right? Farhan was here, and nobody would buy a jersey for anybody because they were here for a week and then they were gone. They were let loose. It was constant. It was like a fantasy baseball league with no moves limits. He was picking up guys one day and dropping them the next day, and it was happening. And I think Buster, one of the reasons he went out and signed Chapman to 6 years and then immediately went and got Adames in the offseason in December of 2024, for the 25 season, his first thing he did as an executive was sign Willie Adames to a 7-year deal. And then he trades for Rafi Devers, who had 8.5 years left. Right now, Devers still has 7.5 years. So I think Buster swung the pendulum way too far to the other side instead of he wanted stability. He wanted all this stability and he wanted the lineup to be somewhat the same. He didn't want all this, platooning. So he went out and he signed Chapman and Adames, and then he trades for Devers. And now it looks like they are going to be hamstrung for into the next decade. So Buster has set himself up here with Chapman and Adames and Devers, and Lee was done before him. That's a big contract. And the only way, and he doubled down today when asked. He said, I think this team, we're not performing well, but this is a team that we still believe in, that is a playoff caliber team. And look, I get it. What's he supposed to say? He can't come out and say, no, we don't have it. We're going to tear it down. We're going to rebuild. I'm going to try and move off of these veterans. And he can't do that. He can't say that. So we don't know exactly what he's going to do. But I will tell you right now that if this team is looking as it is, where it's, 20 and 30 and playing 400 ball, right now, 400 ball, right? What is that for the season? That is 65 wins, 97 losses. Okay. If they're continuing to play around 400 ball, and they are coming up on the trade deadline, and he doesn't do anything but sell off of, Arise and Robbie Ray and maybe a Tyler Molly, and he moves a couple of guys that are on expiring contracts, then that's when I will come out and say Buster has no clue. Because right now, let's see what he does. Does he have a plan? I don't see a plan, but then he may be, he may be playing some poker and not showing his hand. That's what I would hope he's doing. But let me just tell you this. Here at NorCal Sports, you're not going to hear a lot of people talk about Buster's got to go. Okay? Why? Because you're not going to hear it on some other channels. They're too tied in with the Giants. Look, if I was tied in with the Giants and I had relationships with Larry Bear and Greg Johnson and all of the, the brass within the Giants organization, the media, maybe I would be holding back a little bit and trying to play benefit of the doubt. But this organization, they're blowing smoke up your what. It's from the announcers to the media members. Nobody's laying it out on the line. No one's going to tell you it like it is. I mean, Mike Krukow sitting here telling you that Bryce Eldridge has to earn his play, and he hasn't done that. Come on, Krukow. He's had 30 at-bats, and he's playing every third game, and he's 21. The guy smokes the ball when he makes contact. But you're sitting there taking the company line and defending the Giants. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I lose respect. People backing the Giants because, they're getting paid by the Giants. I get it. But I respect the heck out of Murph today for asking tough questions. Yeah, I'm wearing a Giants hat. It's a Giants show. You want me to put the Diamondbacks hat on? I own about 100 Giants hats. Yeah, I am kind of like had it. Krukow, I heard something else he said also. I can't remember the subject line, but he's not making a lot of sense to me these days. But hey guys, I don't know how many we've got we got over 200 watching right now. Go ahead and hit that like button if you would. hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We're putting out content pretty much daily, whether it's a post-game show or a video. So yeah, go ahead and do that like for us. Would really appreciate that. Thank you so much in advance. Let me see what we got in the chat here. I think we got a super here. JB says $5 Australian dollars. That quality of the closer argument is BS. I'd wager that the roughly 5 blown saves is worth the 20 million already if those 5 blown saves were converted to wins. Yeah, good point, JB. Hey, you made the new song, the NCSN chat song that we just put out last night. So you're in it, JB. Would I trick up Trevor Bauer? I've heard he's trouble, from a lot of people, a lot of executives. There must be a reason. It seems like Dodger players really enjoyed him. I have no idea. I would have picked him up just for his pitching a couple years ago. But at this point, I don't think Trevor Bauer moves the needle whatsoever for you. George says, I have to think Kruko is OOS school is not it's not a company line. The game means something to them, and they don't like entitled behavior in general. He has to perform. He was 224 at one time. Yeah, he's also hit the ball hard. He also homered and then drove the ball to the warning track in the same game, and his reward, benched him the next 2 games. That's just purely ridiculous. But, I don't, Dan, do you think, what Robert says, do you think Posey regrets his decisions? If he's honest with himself, I think deep down, he probably has to look and say, did I make a mistake here? Did I put the franchise back several more years? Buster's been kind of loose with the money, right? I mean, it is ownership's money, but, he gave Bob Melvin a $3 million extension when he didn't have to as a vote of confidence, and then fired him anyway. So that cost him $3 million. He goes out and gets Tony Vitello, which he had to pay for the buyout at Tennessee, which is another $3+ million. And that's, $6-7 million. Then he's paying Tony another $3.5. So the whole deal for changing the manager is $10 million this year. I don't know. Yeah, Senior says it's going to be very hard to move the 3 Stooges contracts. If he can get one moved, most likely Chap, that would be huge. If he can dump Webb, Ray, Arise, and get young talent in return, that will be big. Yeah, one of the things that is a possibility is you might be able to move off of a Logan Webb where you don't take prospects back, but they take the Matt Chapman deal, or they take, if you move, somebody wants Webb and they take, let's say they take Adames and Chapman both, and they pay the contracts, and the Giants just say, hey, as part of the Webb deal, we're just going to start over, but we're going to save this money. If you did that, if you got creative and said, here, we'll give you Webb. We don't have to give up anything in return for Webb. You can keep your top prospects, but you got to take on Chapman and Adames. Maybe you get something done like that, and then you save yourself, $70 million right off the books when you take Webb, Chapman, and Adames. And then, maybe you can do it with Robbie Ray. Put Robbie Ray into a deal, and you say, we'll give you Ray, and you got to take Jung-Hoo Lee, or you got to take Devers, and they don't get any prospects back. And then the Giants just say, okay, we're just going to build this with our 4th pick, our 29th pick. We got Hernandez. We got Joe Shar, we got Bo Davidson, we've got Barracuda, we've got other guys. And then you just save that money and start developing guys. And maybe it takes you 3 years of downturn, but you get those money off the books. I don't know. I'm just thinking, I don't know if that can be done. I'm not in the front offices. I don't have that kind of baseball acumen experience to know if that's a doable thing this day and age. But I think the Giants, honestly, if I was a multi-billionaire and had enough money to buy the Giants, and I was like, okay, I'm going to buy the Giants, or at least I'm buying 28% or 28% of the team to be the majority owner, and I get Greg Johnson and his dad out of the way. I buy their shares, and I'm the majority owner of the Giants. My first order of business would be to bring in a lot of baseball people that have experience, not just experience, but experience of actually winning. Okay. I would get people who have won, executives that have actually performed. And then I would, if Tony Vitello's the right guy, I don't think Tony Vitello at this point is the right man for the job with this roster. I think with a young roster that is rebuilding, I think Tony could really get a lot out of younger players that are really just getting their feet wet in the majors, right? Because he could be who he is. I don't know if I don't know who Tony Vitello really is. If Buster had a plan, and that plan was to rebuild, then Tony's the right guy for the job. As Senior is saying here, that he was brought in for the rebuild. Let's hope so, because if he was not brought in for a rebuild and he was brought in for this, then that's a real disservice to Tony, because he's expected to be doing wonders with guys that are in decline. I question if Willie Adames hasn't started his decline, right? He's 29. He's from the Dominican, or is he 30? I think he's 30. He's from the Dominican. So is Devers. Are they 30? 29? Are they a couple years different? We know that the Dominican falsifies his ages constantly, and it's always with the Dominican. There was a team last week that just pulled its offer on an international player. I can't remember which team it was, but they said he was 16 and he was 18. And so they pulled the offer. I don't know. Am I questioning Adames? Sour Shoe says, I'm just questioning his performance. He's just, I know he started slow last year and came on, hit 30 homers, but so I don't know. I don't know, but I do think if the Giants don't do anything, they are, it was the Cardinals who canceled the deal. KC. Okay. Thanks. I do think, guys, prepare. Somebody said, Dan, what's the NCSN email? Adi. Okay. Let me pull that up for you. I will get you that email right there. There you go. It's on the screen like now. Okay. That's the NorCal Sports Network email. NorCal Sports Network. That's it, at Gmail. Why did it go away? There we go. We'll put it back up there. Get back to the chat here. Comments. We'll go another 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll be out of here. But guys, I don't think the Giants are really going anywhere. For sure this year. I would not expect anything for next year. Whether the Giants rebuild or if they keep things the same. I would prefer they completely blow it all up, rebuild it, but I'm not sure if this is the right group to rebuild it. You know, I don't know. Talent-wise, look what they've done with Kyle Harrison. Kyle Harrison goes away. He's great. James Tibbs hitting over 300 in Oklahoma City for the Dodgers, 11 home runs. Guys are performing well. Marco Luciano seems to be doing well with the Yankees in AAA. What is it with our players that they can't do well here? So I'm not sure what's happening. We haven't developed a player in the farm system that's a position player. The last position player that the Giants developed that came, it was Buster, Crawford, and Belt, right? Those were the three guys. And Pablo. I mean, that's 15 years ago. Those are the guys that the Giants last developed position player-wise. What's the last pitcher they probably developed? I guess you could say it's Webb and Roop, right? No real success anywhere else. So I don't know. So we got an email. Let me see if I can look up this email real quick, Adi. Let me take a look. Oh, cool. Nice. Let me see if I can pull that up here. One sec here. Very cool. Did you tell him I said hello? Did you tell him you listen to NorCal Sports Network? Let's see if we can pull that up for that's a nice photo. Let me there we go. Take a look at let me see. This is Adi with Casey Schmidt earlier today. Pretty cool. All right. Look at how tall you are there, man. You must be 6. You got to be at least 6'3". How tall are you, Adi? 6'3"? 6'4"? All right. Mention said he remembers NCS. Yeah, he's been on here enough. Yeah. Cool. 6'3". All right. I knew you had to be 6'3" looking there, standing next to Casey. All right. Nice photo. Looking good. Thanks for sending that. Yeah, there may be a lockout next year. Yeah. Yeah, the Giants right now are 20 games under 500. Their record with the Giants with Rafi Devers in uniform, and he's played every game, is 60. Get a hold of this, guys. 60-80. He's played 140 games. That's almost a full season with Rafi Devers, and they are 60-80. Oh yeah, that's true. We got Casey and Ramos. Those are guys that I think are developing. I think Ramos is a good big league ball player, and I think Schmidt is proving that you can just tell by Casey the way his approach at the plate. He's a big league hitter now. Yep, they were 10 games over 500 before he came into to the team. 10 over. Hey, I want to throw this out there to you guys. No real reason for this. Just thinking out loud. Do you think chemistry might be a problem in the clubhouse since Devers came over? Not that he's a bad guy, but is there a chemistry issue? Is he bonding with the team? Is he a loner? I don't know. But I know that one thing that the Giants were doing last year when they started off hot and they were like 11-4 or something was Wilmer Flores, a very well-liked and respected player, was one of the leaders of this team. Now, whether he played or not, he was not an issue. He was not an issue because Wilmer gladly took a pinch hitting role or whatever you asked of him. He was just a really, really good guy, right? Wilmer Flores was a very charming, lovable player. And the Giants were winning fine with him. And then they bring in Devers, and then things kind of change. I don't know. I'm just not sure. And again, it's not all Devers. The bullpen fell apart. Starting pitching fell apart. It's a lot of things. But let's end it on this, guys. Buster Posey, in my opinion, and again, I don't think you're going to hear this anywhere else. I don't think some of the other content creators that are tied in with the Giants are going to talk about this. And, I get it. I understand why they wouldn't. They're closer to the Giants. They have to deal with the Giants brass. Buster's an icon. But I think this is going to go down as a really, really disastrous move. And I'm going to say that right now on May 21st. The only thing that would change my mind to this is if Buster starts trading one of the big three this year and is willing to trade Webb and is willing to trade as many people as he possibly can. I know he can't trade them all, but if he's able to move off of one of the unholy trinity, Chapman, Adames, Devers, if he can do that and then he's able to sell Ray and Webb, if he's able to somehow pull that off, I will change my mind. But as of right now, I don't think he has a plan. I really don't. I don't think he sounds like a guy without a plan. He doesn't sound confident. He doesn't sound convincing. There's no conviction. He just is like hoping that things work a certain way. Look, I'll never dislike Buster. He's too good of a guy. He was a great Giant, but he took on a huge task not having experience. You heard Keith Law. We played Keith Law last night. Keith Law said he doesn't have the experience. Many other executives saying the same thing. He just doesn't have the experience. And everybody around him is fairly inexperienced at that level too. Zach Meneasen, he's been in the front office, but at a lower level. Now he's bumped up. I think you've heard of the Peter principle. Well, Buster just jumped right through it, man. He just went from straight, no experience to the top. And it's not easy. It's not easy. So I am going to say that I think the Giants are going to be a disaster the rest of this decade. I don't see them winning in the future until these young guys are developed and brought up. But I'm not trusting the organization to develop these guys. I'm really not. They developed Bryce all the way up to the majors, and then they sit him. Glenn is talking about trading Devers and Chapman. Oh, good. Good to hear that. I hope Glenn is promoting that. I really do. Glenn's one of the broadcasters for the Giants. So if he's throwing out that, good for Glenn, because it's necessary, guys. It really is. This team's going nowhere. People got to wake up to the fact that this team, just accept it. just accept it. And if they somehow outperform low expectations, then hey, then you can feel good about it. But when your expectations are here and they give you this, it's the same thing what you do in life, man, in your sales. Under promise and over deliver, right? Don't promise the moon and then give you, nothing, and then you're disappointed. So it's my sincere belief right now that Buster really doesn't have a great plan. He doesn't know exactly what direction he's going, and he's just kind of hoping things work out. That's the way it looks to me. Gorney Son says, I think Bryce is getting traded to preserve Posey and Vitello's job. Both guys' moods change when they have to talk about Bryce. Both seem down on him. Interesting take. That would be a huge, huge mistake because if that's the thing they do, if they trade Bryce and they try and get a veteran in here to win now, it's not going to work. There are so many players away. They're not one player away. They're several players away. Look, Bryce just hit a ball 113.5 miles an hour off the center field wall yesterday. No Giant has hit a ball that hard this year. Get this guy playing, and I hope he's not going down tomorrow. Would not shock me, guys. Would not shock me. Senior says, am I the only one who thinks Posey is working a plan? I like it. Then he follows that up with maybe. Maybe you are. Maybe you are. We'll see. Maybe he is working a plan. It's a good theory, Senior. You might be right. I hope you're right. After today's debacle on KNBR, I'm not convinced any longer right now. Sour Shoes thinks he's going down. Yeah, if Bryce goes down tomorrow, look, if they don't want to play Bryce every day, they're going to send him down simply because they don't like the noise surrounding Bryce, because all the noise is negative around what the Giants are doing. I put out a tweet today, guys. I'll share this with you before we get out of here. And this is what I truly believe. Let's see. Yeah, here. Oops. I messed up. Let me put this up. I'll play a couple things for you guys. Here was my tweet earlier this afternoon. I talked about the Giants and the negativity around them. Take a look. Why does everyone, because this was based on this article about Matt Chapman being in decline. Why does everyone see this except Buster Posey? He was an all-time great Giant, but it's hard to believe that he might be worse than Farhan, which doesn't seem possible. The Giants have become the LA Clippers under Donald Sterling and the Washington Redskins under Daniel Snyder. They are only mentioned when it's extremely negative. Please, someone with a real vision, buy this team and get experienced, proven winners running the show. That's right. The Giants are now the laughing stock of baseball. And I want you to listen to this Jack Loader on the way out. This is a good take by Jack Loader.
Giants.
Let's take a listen.
All right. It's an off-day Giants video, which is quite unusual. Giants are not in action tonight. They regroup from a truly awful series in Arizona and try to bounce back against a pretty good White Sox team this weekend. Let's talk about this morning with Murph and Markus. Buster Posey lost a significant chunk of my faith with that interview, and that sucks. That sucks because he's Buster Posey, and this is the risk we run, right? When franchise icons get into management or even coaching, the risk that they are bad at it, and thus, nothing about Posey's legacy as a player is ever going to change. And I'm always going to love Buster Posey, but I think the reality that he might not be that good at this is very much on the table right now. And the way he was answering some of those questions from Murph and Markus, which mostly Murph, were very pointed and very good journalism and very impressive. I don't want to, go off too much, but like the way you thread the needle between being affable and welcoming and also pressing someone in a position of power is very tough to do. And Murph and Markus did that really well this morning. Posey's answers weren't good enough, and they were a bit standoffish, and I don't think they inspired any type of confidence in the fan base, and they definitely didn't tell me that the Giants had a good plan this offseason. It doesn't make me confident that they'll have a good plan next offseason. Sucks that we're thinking about the offseason. It's May 21st, and, barring not a miracle, but barring a ridiculous turnaround, the Giants are not going to be playing postseason baseball this year, which for the 9th time in 10 seasons. Posey, and maybe it comes from ownership. He denied that ownership caps spending, and the spending they have made doesn't look great right now. Anyway, a lot of all over the roster. His answer to Murph's bullpen question was really combative. It's funny, when he starts to call him Murph, that he's a little annoyed. Yeah, the bullpen question was super fair, super topical, and then Posey kind of talked down to Murph and Markus and the entire fan base in his answer. I'd hope that he wants that answer back. He gave zero answer on why they're sporadically playing Bryce Eldridge, actively stunting his development by bringing him up to be a pinch hitter, which he's done like twice, by the way. It's just most of the time he just doesn't play. Literally more than half the time he doesn't play. Not a lot to be excited about if you're a Giants fan. He hadn't heard Bob Brenly's critique of the team. Which is fine, but it's a real thing. Why are they goofing around so much? Why is Willie Adames having so much damn fun when they're 10 games under 500? Nobody should be having fun right now. There should be nothing fun. And everyone says, oh, it's a kid's game. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Nobody should be having any fucking fun right now. They're 10 games under 500, less than 2 months into the season. They suck. They're a joke. No one should be smiling. There should be nothing fun about what's going on right now. I would hope Posey knows that. That's a very Buster Posey sentiment, at least I thought. But yeah, a pretty rough interview, a really good interview for us at KNBR, but a really tough interview, I think, for Buster
Good point,
Posey.
NCSTL.
And one that made me lose a solid chunk of faith in him as a president of baseball operations.
All right, there we have it. That's a good point. We'll end out on this. Guys, thanks for watching the show tonight. Make sure you do hit the like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. So let me see, get this other channel. Let's see exactly. Okay, let's get this. Let me get the music rolling here. And we don't have any Dallas songs tonight. Dallas has got a night off. Let's go with this. All right, everybody. Thanks again for being here tonight. Really good to talk to all of you guys. Again, thank you, Insane. Appreciate it. The whole thing with the thing with Buster and everything, we'll see. But it doesn't look like he has much of a plan. And again, I think his hands are tied by ownership as well. I think he's kind of like the perfect guy for the ownership. He's part of the ownership group. Nobody's going to get all over Buster right now, right? Why? Because he's Buster Posey. So, so many casuals out there, they're just not going to really care. They really don't care if the Giant, they're just, the ownership group is just, hey, look, Buster, you take this thing. Martian might have said it best. Maybe he got an extra 2 to 3% shares of the team, which is worth millions, right? The team's worth over roughly between 4 and 5 billion. So if you get a few more percentage points and then they go to sell, there you go. All right, guys. Appreciate you watching the show. We'll be back tomorrow night after the Giants-White Sox game. Will it be 20-31 or 21-30? I got a feeling 20-31. They're facing a tough pitcher. So appreciate you guys being here. And we are going to we got to say goodbye. Where's my goodbye button here? Dallas usually runs this. Trying to find it, guys. I'm running up and down the board here. Here we go. Take care, everybody. See you tomorrow night.